All right, we are live to start off the first ever deep dive interview with the one and only two-time fan favorite, Amelia. How are you doing tonight, Amelia?
It's going really good. I got ashtray here. I can't complain. I can't complain.
We got a
How is
special
your night
guest.
going, Dan?
It's good. I'm hoping my own cat, Emma, doesn't try and interrupt me. She tends to do that sometimes. She'll come up and start screaming right below the microphone. But so,
I
so
would
far,
love
so
to
good.
hear it.
Just to give anyone watching a background on what we're going to do tonight, this is going to be a long form interview, a deep dive on the entire game. So, this is something I offered to anyone from the final five of Heroes vs. Villains 2, Season 10, that just finished. Because you guys had a very brief time that you were able to talk to us during the finale recap and a little bit on the reunion, but we didn't get to dive in as deep as other people that were voted out previously were able to on their boot episodes. And so we're going to be here as long as you want to be here tonight, Amelia. For as much as you want to talk about, I'm seated. Everyone else is going to be seated too. And so, what do you say? You want to just head right into it?
Yeah, let's get into it. Might as well, right?
I guess we can start things off. Ben is requesting a dab. All
I
right.
better see your deep dive next, Ben.
Well, we have a personal request, Ben. So if you want one, you're going to have to schedule with me, and it's going to have to be before the end of the month. But, anyways, this is Amelia's time slot. So the way I wanted to start this off was before we even go into the game itself, I just want to talk about your journey leading up to this game. You had played in Survivor Wisconsin twice previously in season 5, and then way more recently, Second Chance season 9, and then you're going into a back-to-back season with season 10. I just want to hear the background of your journey from season 5 up to before season 10 begins, where your headspace was, and how you were feeling going into this game, and what you thought might be different this time around compared to your previous experiences.
So I feel like I have to talk about season five. When I played season five, it was just like how do I even describe it? We were out at a park. It wasn't anything real official. Like we were just kind of out there. I literally went because my friend Tegan said, "Oh, my cousin Devin wants you to play Survivor." And so we packed up all of our things, then we went and we played Survivor. So it didn't really get me hooked when I first played it. I was definitely interested. Like, you get halfway through the game and you're like, "Oh, I'm a little gamer now." Like, "Oh boy." But it wasn't anything crazy. But then when he invited me back for second chance, I was like, "You know what? Let's try it again. Let's see what's changed." And all of the people were so amazing that they just got me hooked into it. So I went into season 9 and I was so anxious, I was so scared. I was like, I don't know these people. I don't know what I'm doing. Meanwhile, everybody there, they knew what they were doing. So it was kind of interesting to come into the community with everybody fully knowing what was happening, and I was just like, "Hey, like what's going on? Like y'all are cool." But after season 9, I absolutely loved the game, and it was hard not to want to do more. I told Devin multiple times in public chats, "Hit me up. Like I want to do another one. Like hit me up, Devin. Like invite me back." And I didn't expect him to invite me back for Heroes vs. Villains. I also didn't expect the whole entire cast to be fucking wild. Devin went crazy picking this goddamn cast, okay? So personally, I thought I was walking into it. I didn't realize there was going to be so many Whitewater people. I thought it was actually mostly going to be like the newer era players. So I was walking into that like completely expecting to be like babied, because everybody in the community has always treated me so kindly, so nicely. So walking into that, I totally expected to just kind of fly by with my buddies, like nothing crazy. We're good guys. We're chilling. I know what I'm doing now. So I didn't expect to have like such an opposition, like I thought that I was going to be good and free flying from the get-go. So I think my mindset going into it was so much different than what ended up actually happening first round. So definitely a crazy mindset going in of, oh, I'm gonna be fine. I have so many friends. I love everybody. And then getting there and going, I don't know these people.
Well, that leads
I
into
was
one of the questions I had for you. I was wondering ahead of time, because there was not an official cast announcement, how many people did you know were for sure playing, and how many were a surprise? Like, if you don't know the exact number, you can just kind of ballpark it. But
I probably knew like 5 or 6 of the people that were playing, like for
six,
sure.
seven.
Yeah, like six, 6 or 8, 6 or 8 people I knew playing. So like when I walked into it and I saw like how many people I didn't know, I was like, holy fuck, where did these people come from? You know?
Yeah, right. And so then one other question I had was, did you automatically assume, invited on Heroes versus Villains, that you were going to be on the Villains tribe?
Yeah, there's too good of a storyline there. You can't put me on the heroes. No matter how lovely I am, you gotta put me on the villains. I mean, dude, I voted Addie off and then immediately made sure that Andy was idled off. Like, that's such villain behavior.
Yeah. But do you think you gave Villain on second chance at all? I don't know that you did.
I don't think I did, like, literally at all. I
It's just
didn't.
that first
But
impression.
that first impression speaks volumes, apparently.
Yeah. And so then when you go into, when you finally arrive and you have the social hour ahead of the game that we don't get to see, and like you said, you see a lot of faces you've never seen before. Do you just automatically start talking to people you don't know? Do you talk to the people you do know first? Do you try and figure out, if I'm a villain, who else here might be a villain? What was the strategy of the social hour?
I literally just talked to everybody that I didn't know as much as I could. Honestly, most of it was actually gauging the people that I knew because I wanted to see who they were talking to more, just to see who they were gravitating towards. Because I knew that like I was pretty sure that Jimmy had watched most of Survivor Wisconsin. I knew that obviously Ben had watched a lot of it. I figured Kira watched some of it, even though she told me in the car ride up there that she had only watched one little season and it was because she had COVID. But I knew her, so I figured she had watched some of it. So I more paid attention to what they were doing because I trusted that they knew who to talk to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. And then you can also kind of clock, okay, where are they going to be aligned when the season actually starts? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's get into, once the tribes are divided, now you know who's on your tribe. What are your initial feelings? Do you feel like, oh, I've got work to do? Or do you feel like, okay, there's some people I can work with here?
Well, okay, so I was really excited because I got Corey, because Corey I vibed with right away when we were in the social hour because I pulled up and I immediately got out and started smoking a cigarette, obviously. So everybody was like, "Who's this girl with the Marlboro Reds? Who is this girl?" So Corey was one of those people. So obviously I was talking to him a lot. So seeing him on my tribe, I was like, yes, I vibed with him. Let's go. And then I saw Matty Ice and I was like, I've heard things about you. And then I remembered him in the chat the one time with, was it season 9, I think, and like he said something about Kira, and then Kira updates fought back, and that was the only thing I knew about Matty Ice. So I was like, oh fuck, I got Matty Ice too. And then I had Nolan, and I was like, fuck, I got Nolan. That dude, he's gonna make such a ruckus. And then I saw that we had the majority of girls. And I thought to myself, ah, we're good, guys. We got some girls. And that didn't go too well.
And yeah, and we can get into that soon too. So let's just move on now to our first episode, Final 16. So you guys, first off, you learn there's not going to be any comeback challenge. Now, does that kind of set the tone? How are you feeling hearing that like, oh, this will be the only shot? Like, if I get voted off, it's done.
Oh, I comeback challenges. I don't do good anyways. So if I get voted off, oh baby, we're going home. Like that's all for her.
You're like, no difference, whatever.
No difference.
That might matter for someone else, but not me. Well, then after that announcement, I think you guys pretty much get right into that first challenge, if I'm not mistaken, of the which is tug of war. They wanted to just get you guys going right off the bat. And yours specifically, you get matched up against Kyle Scheel and no match, destroy him, just rip him across the room. One of the best celebrations, like most high energy of after winning that round, just screaming your head off. What were the vibes? How high was the adrenaline after that matchup?
Oh, I mean, honestly, the adrenaline was still so high because the rest of the team had to pull it off. So I was like, yes, I did it. Now, you guys better pull the fuck through, you know? So I'm like standing back there and I realized like everybody kept celebrating like after somebody, like won and they like celebrate and I'd be like, oh fuck, like I gotta celebrate right now. Because I was just so like, fuck, we gotta get this, you guys. Like, we gotta get this.
Yeah, you don't want to go to tribal right off the bat. Like, let's get some time to breathe, right?
Yeah.
And then, lucky for you, Richie was an MVP of tug of war. He won quite a few that round, and so you guys end up safe for round one. So you don't have to worry about voting anyone off right away. But there's still plenty that happens for you in that first round. I mean, one of the biggest things being Nolan finding an idol, people seeing. I guess where do you want to start with that? Did you see Nolan find it, or did Kayla tell you?
I need to know who saw Nolan find it because I don't think Kayla saw him find it either. I think somebody told her about it. So I don't know who saw Nolan find it or if he just told somebody and it spread like wildfire. But Kayla came up and told me. But before that, I think Nolan told me himself as well. Somebody else had told me before Kayla told me. So like her telling me, I was like, girl, like stop. Like stop. Don't like stop telling people. She's like, okay, I just wanted to let you know. I was like, fuck, like don't tell people, girl. Like don't. And yeah, I think she told more people though.
Yeah, I think it's spread regardless, even if she only told a couple of people. I see Richie's in the chat saying he was told that Kayla saw him find it, but if I'm remembering, it's been a minute from when I talked to others. I think she may have seen it, but I think either Dakota was with her or Emily was also with her. I think there was at least two people that saw it, and then it just kind of circulated from there, and then everyone knew. But knowing that Nolan finds the idol, so is this the first time you've ever met Nolan? Have you ever seen him before this game?
No, I've seen him before this game.
Okay, I couldn't remember where events lined up. I guess you've probably played some of the online games he's hosted.
Yeah, and I
Leading
was
up.
there for drinking games.
Oh yeah, of course. So yeah, you do know Nolan. So do you think like, okay, I should be able to work with Nolan going forward? It's maybe not a bad thing that he was the one to find the idol.
Oh yeah, I definitely was like, okay, Nolan's got the idol. I expected it, like not gonna lie to you, like I expected Nolan to find it, or like maybe Richie or something. Like I expected one of them to find it. I'm not good at finding idols, so I like when somebody else finds it, so I know what they're gonna do with it. Like especially if I trust them enough, because I mean you can pretty easily predict when somebody is going to use their idol. So, it's nicer to just know where it is for me personally. So it was nice because I know I can work with Nolan. At least in that game, I knew I could work with him because he approached me. And him and Corey as well. Like both him and Corey were the only two that I was like solidly working with on that tribe.
And well, I know we know how it goes, not to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I feel was Kayla like for sure, like that's my number one at this point in the game. You're like, we're locked in.
No, so I went into Heroes vs. Villains trying to make sure that I wasn't like walling off and only working with people I've worked with in the past. Especially because I love Kayla to death. Obviously, I love that girl to death. When we did Challenge Wisconsin season 1, we literally were like a little duo, like a Dustin pair, and we just like, ran our whole game together. And I don't think that it's fair to other people to do the same thing, with the same person in every game. So on my first round, I made sure that I was talking to everybody, like basically but Kayla. Like I would say hello to her, I'd give her a little hi, we're friends, whatever. but I wasn't talking game with her. Like I wasn't talking strategy with her. Like we were trying to do our own thing.
You're like, okay, I kind of already know. Kayla and I have a link. I should try and make connections with other people. Then was kind of the vibe.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you mentioned earlier, because now this is the first time you have some time with your tribe. You mentioned seeing how many women were on your tribe and you're thinking of a girls' alliance. Was there a push for that to happen at this point? Like, was that one of the goals you had?
No, I didn't think that a women's alliance would come through. Just because I know everybody's always, oh, woman alliance, and it never fucking happens. So I didn't want to put that in the air because I knew it wasn't gonna happen. For me, it was just kind of like a, oh, we've got each other's backs, like girls, we've got each other's backs. Like Dakota was super nice. Emily seemed super friendly. Like I was like, oh, okay, like we've got each other's backs, but none of us pushed for a girls' alliance. I think that Kayla had just mentioned it to Emily, but like I never said it to anybody. Like I never was like, yes, girls' alliance. Like it never happened like that.
Yeah, I know. It's always the threat of the girls' alliance, and like there's been plenty of men alliances too that don't get the same scare tactic. I think it's just because of how strong you all are when you get together. But
Mhm.
so in that first round, when everyone's safe, is it just all happy go lucky, or is there already a vibe of we kind of, if things go wrong, this is where we're going to lean towards the next tribal?
So from the start, it was like everybody was like hee hee ha ha, and then you'd go and like somebody would pull somebody aside. Like that was the whole entire vibe. You'd all be sitting together on that stupid little couch that was so uncomfortable, and then somebody would come over and they'd be like, "Can I talk to you for a little bit?" Like that was everything that was happening. So like there were so many private conversations, which is when you started to feel like you were tiptoeing around each other. Um, Not gonna lie, I was outside taking a lot of smoke breaks. It was a I didn't like the energy that was happening in the house because everybody was like on eggshells. So I popped outside and I just had some smoke breaks instead. It was scary.
Have a victory sig or two. And that is one of the differences with the winning tribe compared to our location we had when we played second chance was there wasn't as much room. So the winning tribe, we were kind of all stuck in a room, a very small room together, where there wasn't really the opportunity to go break off and talk separately with people without looking incredibly suspicious and getting a target on you. So how did you appreciate that you had that opportunity, so there was actually more work you could do with talking to people in this season?
So it was like such an awkward like space. So if you like wanted to talk in private, you had to like go through the communal space. So like
Mm.
it wasn't just like a I can grab you and we can sneak off real quick. Like everybody was always gathered in the living room and then the rooms were off of the living room. So like you still saw who everybody was talking to, but I don't think these people gave a single shit. Like they were just like, I'm playing a game, baby. Like, come on,
Yeah.
let's go talk.
And
So I mean, it affected the atmosphere.
if they start the tone and everyone does it, then I mean it's not as much of a target on one person if everyone's doing it. And then I guess
Exactly.
at that point just kind of clock, okay, that person talked to this person this round and like try and keep a mental log of it going forward. But okay, so then is there more you want to touch on for the first episode before we go into your next immunity challenge?
No, the first episode it was mostly us just happy go lucky, and then everybody just talking in private basically, which I mean understandable. I talked and I smoked my cigarettes, man. That was pretty much it.
All right, pretty much it then. Maybe things will get real for you coming in episode 2 at the final 15. You guys find out that Connor was voted off from the Heroes tribe. I'm assuming you probably don't know Connor as much, doesn't affect you per se, but were you feeling any kind of vibe shift from Dakota, the fiance of Connor after that's
I
revealed?
mean, she definitely just seems a little bit more disinterested, but she wasn't like super sad. She was more just like, ugh, I should probably call him as he leaves. Like, we all were very understanding of it too. So it was more just like, we kind of gave Dakota a little space for her to, make sure to deal with her fiance and everything. But she wasn't outwardly like, oh my God, like my boyfriend. So we were okay.
Okay. So quick morning period, and then it's like back to work. We have an immunity challenge to get to.
Yeah,
And
actually.
and then this challenge, we had I think it was 3 people or so from each tribe that were balancing a ball while the other part of the tribe was trying to solve these rebus puzzles. And once those were solved, you get to the actual puzzle. We know now you never got to that third step. Um, we had the rebus puzzles, and I don't know how many people know this, but you're actually pretty good at puzzles. I think in general, rebus puzzles, are those a strong suit, or is that a blind spot for you?
I've never focused on them before, so I can't exactly say. Usually I'm able to get like word puzzles pretty easily. So I was mad at myself about the eyeshadow one, but you know what? I'm going to defend myself on that too because when you see it on like the TV or on, like they showed a picture of it, it looks a lot clearer than on paper. On paper, it says I, and then there's literally just a blob. Like it, like, and it's not mirrored at all. So it's
Yeah.
not like, it was just one of those where it just, come on. But yeah, I think if it was a little more clear on paper, I could have gotten it.
Yeah, and I'm not going to give you too much crap about that because watching from home, I was also like, wait, what is that I one? And I know you guys had probably a million different guesses. Your whole paper was covered in writing, but alas, couldn't get to it. So you guys now have to go to tribal. No more happy go lucky. Decisions have to be made. And so going into this round, I believe the agenda you had was to push for Matt. Is that correct?
Yeah, because he was pushing for me.
That's right. Cause you were another name. You, Kayla, and Matt. Were there other names floated, or was it primarily you three?
It was Nolan was floated, but that was literally just because he had an idol. So
Mm-hmm.
like they were floating him around, and then when it became apparent, it was weird. There was like multiple shifts that happened in our tribe that you could like feel. Um like the big shift was when Emily realized that she wanted to work with Nolan, because at first it was Nolan has the idol, Nolan has the idol, like let's play it, like let's get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could tell like when she was like, "Oh wait, maybe, maybe not." She kept telling Nolan not to play his idol. And I was talking to Nolan quite a lot. So he had come to me and he kept saying like, I really like Emily. I'm really strong with Emily. Emily's telling me not to play the idol. Like I don't know what to do here. And I was like, dude, don't play your idol. Like you're fine. We're talking Matt. Like it's all fine. And he said, okay, okay, okay. So, just from how Nolan was talking and then the fact that the target got off of his back, I could tell that they had kind of flipped it to like, oh, wait, Nolan's useful, you know? So, to me, it seemed like it was just between Matt and Kayla. But here you have to also understand, I didn't know Kayla was being talked about the whole entire fucking round, okay? I literally had no idea. These bitches played me so good. So good. So like there was one point where Dakota had come up to me and she was talking to me and she goes, "So, are you and Kayla friends?" And obviously, I can't lie. Like there are people here to
Yeah.
fact check me. Like I can't lie about that. So I said, "Yeah, yeah, we are friends." She's like, "Well, how close are you guys?" Like, oh, I'm not gonna be like that. Like, I've known her for a little bit. Like, she's a good friend of mine. And she's like, oh, okay. And after that, I did not hear a whisper of Kayla the whole entire round.
Mhm.
So in my actual head, it was between me and Matt because I kept hearing my name. So Nolan was kind of like always a bluff, like kind of always because of his idol. So
It's actually kind of funny to me that they'd be more careful to not say Kayla's name around you, but they're fine with you hearing your name being floated out there. Like you would think that it would be the other way around, right?
exactly like that. I don't know if like I just never got the plan. Like I don't know if like somebody just never slipped me the details. I kind of think it was done on purpose because then if I didn't vote with them, then they would give them a reason to gun for me next round. So, which I'm lucky because at Tribal, I've rewatched this Tribal just to see if I could like see my face flicker or something to give it away. But Nolan literally leans into me. He's like, "It's Kayla. We got the votes without you. You don't have to vote her." I'm like, "Fuck." You're sitting there at Tribal and it's like, "Fuck." Like, I don't want to do that, but that's the plan that's going down. So I've rewatched it, try to see my face. And you wanna know what I do? I lean back and I nod. Girl, do
Playing the game. You're
do
playing the game.
something. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I
But yeah,
mean,
I felt really bad voting for Kayla. Like obviously I felt absolutely awful, but good on them for getting me to do it. Good on them.
yeah, and honestly, good on you too for being able to flip. Like Nolan said, you don't have to do it. We have the numbers to do it, but obviously, I think the optics are way better for you to vote with everyone else, even if it kind of sucks to probably do it. Because I'm sure you probably didn't have any kind of way to tell Kayla what was happening prior to voting, did you?
No, she was all the way on the opposite side of the
Yeah,
couch.
that's rough. So
Mhm.
So Kayla goes, and what's the vibe for you personally after that? So you don't know up until tribal, and then you have to vote for someone you did not want to vote for without even being able to talk to her about it. Now she's gone, and there's no coming back. And what are you feeling like? Like, oh shoot, the game's actually started, or are you like, is there a way I can pick up the pieces from here? What was the mindset?
For me, it was absolutely like my whole game just went down the toilet because like I love Kayla. Kayla's a very close friend of mine, and seeing her go out that early was like devastating to me. And especially because I couldn't go and like talk to her at all. It wasn't like, I could go and comfort my friend.
Right.
It wasn't like I could say, "Hey, I didn't mean it. Sorry, love you." Like she was gone. She was in
Yep.
her feelings. I couldn't help her at all. So for me, it was more like, fuck, my friend is hurting right now. I can't do anything. Fuck, I got a game to play. Time to get her back on the road. Like, and I think that's why the next round I was scrambling so much because it was like, fuck, like I had so many plans right there and that just went out the window.
Yeah, because at that point, do you have an idea of like, are there alliances around you? Like, okay, these people are for sure together, and then there's this other group together, or is it still kind of like feels like everything's up in the air?
For me, that Kayla vote definitely solidified like who was working together. Because from my perspective, I thought that Matt was more on the outside of things. But I really didn't see the Kayla vote out coming at all, which made me realize that I was on the outs. So for me, it totally put me into perspective of holy shit, like, hey Amelia, you're not integrated and you need to fix that. I thought that I was pretty good with, who I was with. And then being left in the dark on a vote, it makes you completely switch your mindset around.
Yeah, and well, we can talk about how you're able to do that. But first, Cody did have a comment here. He said the only thing that season 10 was missing was a secret smoke break alliance. So would that have been you and Corey? Was Corey the main smoke break partner, or were there others?
Corey and Nolan, they both literally came out like either it was both of them or it was one or the other. And I am so shout out to Maris for buying me a pack of cigarettes on the way there. Because I had a full pack and I was like, oh, I don't know if this will last with whoever needs it too. So shout out to Maris, you guys. Love her to death.
Always shout out Maris. I mean, only a heartless person would cut her at the final four. Okay. Anyways, episode 3. Next round, on to the final 14. So Kayla's gone. You have to get right back into it. And you get right back into it by playing this game called Yank It with the solo cups. And I think I already made too many Yank It jokes on immunity, so I'm going to have to try and refrain from doing that again. But
Thank
you
you.
have to remove the index cards from the solo cups until they all stack. Am I remembering that right? That's the plan.
Yeah, you like stack one, put it there, stack another. Yep.
Yeah. So have you ever played that game before, or was this the first time?
No, that was my first time.
Yeah, I also hadn't heard of it until I was watching the old seasons they played at Whitewater, and I was like, oh, I don't know that I would be good at that. And
I was
I can't
watching
remember.
them
Did you
do
get one?
it. Yeah, I did end up getting one. It was after like too many failed tries. But I was literally watching them do it. And you know when you're watching somebody do something, you're like, fuck, like I can do that. And then you attempt it yourself and you're like, I shouldn't have said anything, you know? That was that moment for me. That was that moment because and I felt bad because I was watching them and they keep being like, "Okay, put it a little back, put it a little over. Okay, put it forward." And I'm like, "You guys, like you need to let them just do their thing." And then I got up there and I was like, "Guys, where do I need to put it? Do I need to move it?" Like like there I was looking for the help and everything. And hey, Emily's method worked. Like she guided my hand correctly. So shout out to Emily on that one.
If you ever need a Yank It coach, Emily is your girl. And
Emily's your girl.
as long as that portion of the challenge took, that wasn't all. You had to get through Yank It to get to the Insanity block puzzle. That's the 4 colored blocks that you have to shift until you get one of each color on each side. It is a tough puzzle. You can know like a good starting point for the puzzle, but even then, after you get that starting point, you still have to trial and error until you get it. And you thought Yank It took too long. The Insanity puzzle took maybe even longer. And you guys timed out, had to switch to a different puzzle, which then Joe on the Heroes Tribe iconically comes in and just practiced that puzzle that morning by chance. Just boom, 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 boom. Not one mistake. Done. So I don't think once it got to that final puzzle, you guys stood a chance. But was there like miscommunication, too many cooks with the block puzzle that you guys weren't able to get something going?
There were too many cooks in that kitchen. It was one. Well, so we ended up getting a rhythm after going at it for a little while because at first it was like we would have one person putting it together and then we'd all be like no 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 and we try grab it and put it all together. And then at one point we started having one person on each side saying if it didn't line up. So then we were somebody would take turns basically turning it and everything. So we ended up getting a pretty good rhythm going. And then I think we all just kind of gave up because it felt impossible.
Uh, it's not. I the first time I did that challenge, I did not listen to the rules correctly, and I tried to get like all one side being all red, the other side being all blue, like the opposite. And I was like, I heard the directions. It's not possible, and it wasn't possible because that's not how you're supposed to solve it. I was able to redeem myself when I did it a second time, but it is you have to like patience, and we only had 2 people working on it. It was actually Kira that was working on it with me. And it just when there's 2 people, I think it's easier to just kind of talk it out and just like, okay, not that, not that. But when you've got an entire tribe, it's probably just too much going on. And alas, you're right back at tribal right after the last one did not go the way you wanted at all. So what was the thought process of after you're like, shoot, we have to go back and do this again? And it's still night 1.
Oh my god. I mean, I would love to say that we were all tired, but nobody was fucking tired. Literally, I half of them had a drink in their hand, the other half we were just trying to make it through the night. Um I so I keep doing this thing on accident where, somebody is asking me for a name or they're asking me what I think. And it's like the person that I'm trying to gun for, you know? So then I just do the whole, oh, here's a name, yada, 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 yada. And then it gains traction, and I'm like, no, never mind, which is exactly what happened with this round with Matt.
Matt and Nolan, actually. This is the round where you also mentioned you like wanted to kind of throw Nolan under the bus a little bit. You're like, well, Nolan has a connection with Ben. And then all of a sudden, Nolan was getting a lot of traction. And you did the same. No, wait. Let's pull that back. Can we do Matt? So actually, how did you manage to put yourself in that position though, where you're at the bottom and now the very next round, you're throwing out two other names that all of a sudden were options?
Because, okay, so you have to understand that the person who was really running that tribe was Emily, okay? So the only thing that I could really do, and mind you, Emily was always off in a room talking with somebody. So I like barely saw her, honestly. So like I think that when I would start pushing things through Corey and Nolan and then, through Matt, I think when it would get back to her, because you can see in the videos when they go and they talk to her and they're like, Amelia said this, that, and the other thing. And she would go, And then it was more of Emily's decision than my own. So I think that it was more because I was just putting things out there, and then Emily was the one that was like actually deciding on them. So I'm not gonna claim it, like I think I definitely set it in motion to be Matt 100%. But I think that Emily was the one who decided.
Well, that's still a big part of it because while Emily could take advantage of that and be like, okay, here are names I can work with without having to be the one to initially push it. Like, that's great for her to be able to do that. But those names are only there because someone had to put them out there to begin with. And you managed to do that without seemingly not a lot of backlash on you because you were just throwing names out left and right. And I mean, from what I could tell, obviously the result of this vote, Matt can't be mad at you afterwards because he's gone, but we'll get to that. But Nolan seemed to be fine to continue working with you, even though you had did he find out that you kind of threw his name out there? I assume someone had to have told him.
Yes, he knew. he came to me and he was like, Amelia, I think we had a smoke together and he was like, Amelia, throwing out my name. And I totally pulled a Nolan, I didn't know what to do. Like, he was just looking at me. Like, I'm so sorry. And Nolan was like, it's cool. Like, I understand. Like, that's what I mean by the kind of reputation I've garnered, because I can just be like, oh, I didn't know what I was doing. And these bitches let it fly. Like, all of them let it fly. I was just like, I don't know, you guys. And y'all believed me.
Like, oops.
Oops, I didn't
Not
mean
little
it.
old me. I do want to talk a little bit. I want to talk a little about Nolan too, because one thing I forgot to talk about was him playing his idol at the previous tribal, and clearly that rubs some people the wrong way. And then he ends up getting one from Jimmy. So first part, how did you feel about him playing the idol? And then the second part, he started to kind of tell some people he now had another idol. Did you hear about that in this round, that he had a second idol at this point?
So, I did know about a second idol at this point. I think it was the same conversation of, Amelia, why did you put my name out there? I think the same conversation he told me about the idol as well. Because we were outside and he like flashed it to me. So I was like, okay. Personally, Nolan playing his idol, it didn't really affect my gameplay at all, because if you want to, good for you, buddy. It don't really matter at this point. If you keep it, you're probably just going to get flushed next round anyways. So, like, for me, it was just kind of like, okay, good. Now you don't have it. It's off your hands. I think that how he handled his second idol is a little bit different, because not only did he tell me, but he also told Corey and Emily.
Yeah, it's just everyone knew automatically again, right? There's no secrets.
So why did you play your first idol just to get a second and tell us all again? Come on, Dick.
I guess big brain play. He was able to take an idol away from Jimmy. I don't know.
That was pretty funny though.
Yeah. Okay, so regardless of Nolan and his idle antics, the vote does go back off of him, and Matt ends up being the direction it takes. I'm assuming that's the person that you wanted out since you wanted him out the previous round. So this has to be probably the best possible outcome for you, is it not?
I mean, yeah. Because, I mean, he was the one that was probably, like, pushing my name the most, in an actual serious manner. I think that a lot of people did say my name just as a cop-out. So, he was the only one that was pushing it for real. So, it was good for me that he got cut.
Yeah, and there was already at this point a lot of maybe pushed as a narrative more by Emily, but about you and Dakota going at each other, saying each other's names. How real was that from your perspective? Were you like, wow, Dakota's really got it out for me? Or were you kind of suspicious of that?
No, so, okay. So, here's the thing. I, in that game, okay, when she voted Matt instead of Nolan, I had said to her before Tribal, if you vote with me this round, I will vote with you. And then, like, once she actually did it, because I didn't expect that vote to go my way. Like, I expected it to be Nolan. I didn't expect it to be Matt. So when I said that and then it actually turned out my way, it was like, holy shit. I had no expectations of actually working with that girl. I thought she was bonded way too closely with Emily, so there's no way that I was actually going to get, like, you know, like, my claws in her. So yeah, after that, I did start to gun for her because it was like, oof, I made you promises I can't keep, and I can't have that falling back on me. My mistake was that I told Corey about it, and Corey ended up, you know, basically trying to, like, use it against me. But, like, brother, I was already gunning for Dakota on my own. Like, you know, like, they're like, we're pitting them against each other. Brother, that was my own doing. I chose that path.
And honestly, it's also a valid path. If you have a known person that you're both shooting at each other, people said it. They're like, well, we can keep both of them in the game because they're going to continue to fire at each other, which doesn't affect us. But that's also then a valid strategy for the people firing at each other because, like, oh, maybe they can keep us around because we're gonna. I mean, it's almost like a game of chicken because eventually they're like, oh, okay, no one's actually going to go out between these two. But
Mm-hmm.
it does work for the time being, and so I think that was one thing working in your favor for sure. Um, okay, Matt goes, and once he's gone, that's the end of night one. So you guys here, you make it to day two, which is awesome. You're still going to be separate from the heroes tribe, so you don't get to talk to them at all. And you also are told first thing in the morning, you guys go to an immunity challenge, and there will be no time to talk afterwards. It'll be straight to tribal.
Yep.
So how are you feeling? I feel like there's probably got to be a mix of emotions because you had a bad tribal with Kayla going, then a high of a tribal going the way you would like it to go, and then you get this news from Devin. What are the feelings going into the night?
Well, okay. So going into the night, I felt like I was pretty much screwed. I felt the vibe that it was gonna be either me or Nolan, like no matter what was gonna happen. So I thought it was funny because Nolan, when we were outside taking our smokes, he said to me, I think like 2 or 3 different times, dude, we just have to make it to our friends. We just gotta make it through this. We just gotta get to our friends. He just kept saying that. And I was like, yes, please, Lord. Yes, please. You know, like him and I were on that same page of we're kind of screwed over here. We need some reinforcements. Um, I personally think that Nolan would have been fine because Emily liked him too much at the time. So like, you know, we would have been fine. That would have been fine. But like, I knew that I was in hot shit in my tribe, and I had no expectations of us winning immunity. I really didn't. I saw how the other ones went. I thought this was it for us. Um, yeah, and then Devin, never listen to Jamil and when he decides to assign which sides of the house the heroes or the villains get, okay? Because the villains deserve more than one bathroom. They're villains.
Oh.
They're selfish. There needs to be more than one bathroom in the morning. That's my biggest. That was my biggest stressor that morning. I just wanted to pee, and oh my fucking god. So yeah, going into that day, I was stressed out because all I wanted to do was pee and have some peace. Didn't work. Did not work.
Pee and peace. Yeah. All right. Take notes, Devin. If you're watching, make sure there's multiple bathrooms for each tribe going forward. You heard it here. Fan favorite, 2-time fan favorite. She knows what she's talking about.
I know what I'm talking about. Come on.
We got the little preview episode of the overnight. We have your conversation with Richie. The fuck with you, Richie. how into that conversation were you? Were you actually looking to work with Richie going forward, or how workable did that seem? Because we know he was working pretty closely with Corey at that point.
So, okay, listen. As we all know, I brought some Jello shots. By some, I mean like probably like 40, 50 Jello shots. So I had already done some Jello shots, and I was just trying to take a smoke outside, and all of a sudden Richie comes out with no fucking hoodie on or anything. Motherfucker, I'm just trying to have a smoke break. And then we were just like having a casual conversation, and Stibe was out there. So, just three buddies just having a little talk. And then all of a sudden this bitch starts talking game. And I'm like, bro, it's like past midnight. I'm just trying to have a smoke. I was a little tipsy. So honestly, that whole conversation, I didn't know what was going on, and he was whispering. I didn't know what he was saying. So that's why I just kept being like, "Yeah, Richie, I got it handled. Like, I fuck with you, Richie." Cuz I didn't know what he was saying. I really did. I really didn't. So
Hey, I don't think you said anything wrong. It's like, look, I don't know what Richie's saying, but yes, we're good, Richie. Let's just regroup in the morning. I got you. I fuck with you.
I fuck with you, Richie.
I think one of the main storylines for overnight for the villains tribe did involve Richie. There was a lot of back and forth with Richie and Nolan. Was he pushing Nolan's name? Now, how involved in that did you get? Were you kind of like, I'm going to let them do their thing, and I'm just going to be over here? Or did you hear a lot of this? Was there a lot of conversation about Richie versus Nolan?
So there wasn't like a lot of conversation about Richie versus Nolan, but like the morning of, there was um there was some discontent, and I definitely felt it, and I got to listen to both Richie and Nolan rant to me about it, kind of thing. And for Nolan, it was just, I don't understand why Richie's pushing my name. And then for Richie, it was, I'm just trying to do my best here, and I don't understand why Nolan's saying this. So I got to hear both sides of this whole thing. I do not know how the fuck it started. I think that Richie got very paranoid, which is valid, very valid to be paranoid in this situation. I know I was. But when Richie gets paranoid, as we've talked about, he just digs himself a bigger hole. And unfortunately, it seems that he was, stepping on Nolan to dig the hole kind of thing. So they just started to be really annoyed with each other. I don't even think that it was very much fueled by the game. I think that it was a clash of personalities that just kind of exacerbated it.
I could see that happening. And in the meantime, there were a couple of advantages found as well. Corey finds a steal a vote in the fireplace, and Dakota, teabag idol, she finds it in the morning with the tea bags. Uh, did you know or have any idea about either of these? And two, did you try to find any advantages overnight?
I did not try to find anything overnight. I went upstairs to my futon and I went to bed. I'm mad because I did look in the tea bags multiple times for an idol. So that one did kind of make me mad. I was like, "Are you fucking serious? Like I've looked there before." So yeah, but I mean, I didn't try that hard, no.
Yeah, I know overnight for second chance, I was worried about people suspecting me looking for advantages, and I would have to go to the bathroom multiple times. I'm like, I have to go as fast as possible so people know that I'm not being suspicious. And joke was on me because Kira wasn't scared. She looked for an idol and found one. But
Mm-hmm.
all right, then let's go straight into this next challenge in the morning. We've got, where were we? Physical versus mental. That was, I have to find the right. We're on episode 4. Okay. Physical versus mental, first thing in the morning. You chose mental, and mental was a slide puzzle, but it was on an app on the phone. And it looked like there was some trouble with getting the pieces to slide. Is that right? Was it wasn't just having to solve the slide puzzle, but it was also trying to figure out how to make those pieces slide.
Yeah, you had to tap it and not slide it, because when you would
Um,
slide it, it would exit out of the thing. So I kept trying to slide it, but it was tap.
so,
So
so it was a
once
tap
we
puzzle.
figured that out, yeah, it was a tap puzzle, not a slide puzzle, a tap puzzle.
That was the actual mental part of the challenge.
Yeah, that
Figure
that
that
was
out.
for real the mental part.
Yeah, and I think most of your tribe though did pick the physical aspect, which was just like squats and push-ups and jumping jacks, and
The whole
kind
rest
of
of them, yes.
flew through those. That looked like that was the faster route. It did end up still being close at the end, even though Heroes had more slide puzzle takers. But you guys took it out. Don't have to worry about tribal first thing in the morning. Thank goodness, because I don't know where your vibes were at heading into the night. If you went straight to tribal, like if you did lose that, do you think it's still you as an option, or do you think it could still go to someone like a Nolan or a Richie based on them arguing?
Nah, it would have been me. It definitely would have been me. Just based on the conversations I was left out of, like, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because we have a little bit of that we see post tribal where you've got like you're talking in the living room kind of by yourself as people are like walking by and you see people talking to each other and you see Richie walk off and you're like, yep, this is just how it goes, kind of on my own. Richie just goes around, he walks into different conversations, and it's just how it's going to go from here. So at this point, the mentality you were talking about with Nolan, has that really set in? You're like, it just got to try and get to merge, get to my friends, and reevaluate from there. Is that the just main goal at this point?
That was exactly my goal. Like I was so done with the tribe. I was so done with the tribe at the moment. It was I was so out over it. So it definitely was just like I'm buckling my seatbelts wherever y'all want to take me. As long as I make it to merge, we are on our way, guys.
Yeah, and I just realized, did I skip past the first? I forget what the first challenge was. I think there were there because there were 2 challenges this episode. Was that the second one was the mental physical? I don't know
It
that it matters
was
that much. It's okay. Forgive me for my research. We're going to miss one of the challenges from episode 4, and it's okay. But all I know is that you won both of the challenges this episode. Woo!
woo!
So Kyle was the one that went straight away at the end of the first challenge. And Richie is saying I'm right that it was the mental physical as the first challenge.
Yeah,
I,
Richie, what was the second one,
yeah,
honey?
Richie, if you remember the second challenge that you did after that, challenge. Okay. Well, oh, flip cup. So, oh, it was a
Oh,
team flip cup. Okay. Team
the
flip
Tic
cup.
Tac flip cup. Yeah.
And so that's right. It was the tic tac one. Okay. That one you had some trouble with flipping the flip cup. Am I wrong? Am I misremembering that or?
Listen, guys. I never went to college. I've never practiced the games before we head into it. So I'm not good at flip cup. Have I practiced at the bar now? Yes. Did I before this? No.
No. Yeah. So then you still, I think, I don't know if you just lost a point and then just kind of went towards the back and let the rest of the tribe take over from there. But after that, it was kind of smooth sailing for you guys, and you get through that challenge, and it's right back to more of the same. I feel like for your tribe. I think at this point, I don't know how much of this you were privy to, but there was a lot of ideas in the morning of Emily thinking about this 3-2-1 vote to get Nolan out. Were you looped into any of these plans? Were you getting a vibe that Nolan could actually be a target, or no, just left on the outs again?
Yeah, I was just there. I really was. I was just there because I was not getting any details. No.
Well, I guess since you're not going to tribal, it's not the end of the world. But I guess if you did go to tribal, the fact that they're talking about other people, even if you aren't aware of it, hey, kudos to you. You're doing something right.
Exactly.
That's the whole not a threat thing.
Just not
All right.
threat.
So then we might as well fast forward then to where the heroes that are gone, Kyle, the first one, and then Vin, the second one. So seeing those be the boots from the heroes tribe, what are you thinking? You're like, okay, my friends that I know are still there. Is that like thumbs up for Amelia?
Yep. Oh yeah. I was like, okay, this tribe ain't got it, but that tribe do. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Actually, my thought to it was Kira is fucking shit up over on that tribe. She's got this.
And we're about to find out soon enough because you're merged now. That was the last challenge. Vin was the last one out before the merge. And you just missed out on merge in second chance. I believe you did in Captain's Curse. You did make the merge.
I did. I made the merge in Captain's Curse.
Yeah. So if you make merge, you're fan favorite. I think that's just 2 for 2 in that regard. So you made merge. How's it feel that you've made it this far now? Just complete elation?
That was like, I think I made like the biggest breath of relief when I heard merge. Like you can see me walk up to like I think it was Jimmy, and I immediately just gave Jimmy like the biggest hug ever. So I was like, "Fuck, dude! Like we made it." I was like, "I didn't think we were gonna do this. Fuck."
And so immediately you're like, made it to merge, made it to my friends. Okay, we're at a reset now. Thank goodness. And
Yep.
that first challenge, I think they made it for you. It was an ab challenge. Now, how was your form for this? Where you had to keep your legs up above the block? I don't remember how long you lasted, but
I lasted a little bit. I definitely could have lasted longer. For some reason, I just put my legs up so fucking high. Like, I don't know why I did, but like, if you watch the tapes, like, everybody's legs are like down here, and mine's are like, whoop! Like, girl, put your legs down. God damn.
were they straight at least? Because we had some people bending their knees, like Nolan did.
I think mine were straight. Yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I'm looking for my lighter and I can't find it.
You're good. This is your deep dive. You're allowed to look for whatever you want throughout the interview. I wish I could help you.
Oh my god. Dude. Mistake,
no,
where's my lighter?
the cat took it.
No, literally, no, I'm not even joking. She actually does that, like straight up. That's why I'm like, Siggy.
Siggy wants some cigs.
No, that's the worst part is she does. R.I.P.
Okay, so you don't win this immunity challenge. Boo.
No.
Jimmy does, who you were happy to see. So are you okay? You're like, good, Jimmy won immunity. Like, that's a good result.
Oh yeah, I was happy that Jimmy won. Honestly, I would have been happy like if anybody else won. Like I didn't really care at that point. Like, good job everybody. Like I'm happy that you're here. You know, that was my that was all that was going on in my head. I was just happy to be there.
And so first conversations you have with Jimmy, Kira, Joe, anyone, Ben from Heroes, like, are you like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to work together. Are they telling you the dynamics of their tribe? How much game talk is going on, and are you learning?
There wasn't a super bunch of like game talk going on. I did end up kind of like leading the Richie vote just a little bit. I could tell that people were getting frustrated on our tribe, but we had the conversation already of we didn't want to vote out Richie before merge, because we knew that this was his big, like, like this was his big game.
Mhm.
So none of us wanted to vote him out before merge. So when we got through to merge, it was like, hey guys, Richie made merge.
So, do you think, like looking back on it, was that your goal? You're like, I want to get Richie out, or you were just like, let's whatever we can do to make it this new alliance work with the Heroes tribe and people I want to work with, or was there any thought of maybe I could also work with Richie a little bit, or
I could see that Richie's hands were in a different bowl, like he was mostly just working with, Corey. So for me it was like, he's not really working with me anyways, like might as fucking well, right? Like it's not me. I didn't need my name getting dragged through the mud again on a different tribe with people that I liked. So it was like, okay, well, if this is what's gonna get us there, this is what's gonna get us there. So sorry, Richie. I love you. I really do, Richie. I promise. I love you so much, dude. Like I really fucking do. But did it save me? Yes, it did. So, you know.
well, if it wasn't Richie, because it seemed like this was pretty unanimous almost immediately at merge, it felt like everyone was on the same page. But
Mhm.
was there any other like light alternative? I know Dakota's name was pitched to Richie, but I feel like that was just a name that was being pitched to Richie. Was there ever any real consideration from anybody in any conversations you had for anyone else?
Oh no, it was definitely just Richie. Like to be straight up with you, unless if that was just like what people thought that I wanted to hear, but the only name that I personally heard pitched was Richie.
Okay. Yeah. So then at that point, if you can make that work for you, it sounds like you'd be climbing an uphill battle to try and make anything else happen anyways. So you may as well make
Yeah.
that as ideal for your path going forward, which I think you did. All right. So Richie leaves. How are you now feeling alliance wise? Do you feel like you have something set in stone? Do you feel like there's still more connections that you have to work on? Or do you feel like there's still people
I
after you?
I felt like there was definitely still a lot that I had to work on. Um, Especially because like I knew not to fall back into people that I knew, but even there, I felt like the people that I knew were trying to like put space between me and them. Like I didn't feel like on the same page with like my people. Um, so like I think the only person that I felt really reach out to me was like Jimmy, which Jimmy is really good with that, as we know. So, obviously I probably wasn't the only person that Jimmy reached out to, as we know, Ben. So it I knew that it was an uphill battle no matter what I was doing, but pushing the Richie name was like the first big thing for me to do so that I could say, hey guys, look, I voted out a villain for you. Let me in, please. It kind of did work. So,
Yeah, because villains were up 6-5 at merge. And so by eliminating Richie, it is now an even 5-5 split from that original tribe. So that would kind of work as an olive branch to you and be like, hey, so now if you invite me in too, we still have the numbers over these other people and kind of try and work from
mm-hmm.
there. So I think the makings of a good start for you. But then we get into our next immunity challenge, which is touchy subjects of it all. So we know how this goes. Um, you don't win touchy subjects immunity. That I forget
What?
who got that. Was that Corey that got the touchy subjects immunity? I believe.
I think
Um,
so, actually.
okay, but the main topic here, there were some rough questions and answers that you were the answer of, and so here's your time to rant, say anything you want about anything related to touchy subjects, the game, to any of the questions asked, any of the answers. Full unfiltered thoughts.
Oh my gosh. Well, let me get ready for that one, buddy. Ugh. So, okay. For some actual backstory.
Hold on. You froze and I can't hear you right now. So I just want to make sure you regain connection before you go on, if you can still hear me. All right. Intermission to the chat until we can reconnect with Amelia. And we got her buffering now. All right. Are you back?
Can you hear me?
I can now. Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Start
Okay,
over from, because
so
I didn't hear anything you were saying about touchy subjects.
okay, so I'll open up to you guys. I'll open up to my fans. I have a history of being called annoying. I've always been a very outspoken person. I've always been very loud. I've always been a little obnoxious, as they would say. So, being called annoying by people who I like very much value, like, because that's how it was to me. It wasn't just like, we're in a game. To me, it was like these people who I value think that I'm annoying. Like, this whole time I thought that, y'all liked me. And then I find out that y'all actually think that I'm just annoying. The GOAT one, okay. Okay, that if that's what you want to think. I play a great social strategy, and I know that. And obviously, y'all know that if I was talked about for like 3, 4, 5 rounds, and still I'm still here, like. So the GOAT one, okay, if that's your opinion. But the annoying one, that one is a touchy subject for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went ahead and I took some time, cried and had a cigarette or two. Um, Corey came out and talked to me, which is still really funny to me because everybody's like, Corey's amazing for doing that. Corey's amazing for doing that. Yes, Corey is amazing for, coming through and talking to me and, being that kind of guy. But then at the end of the conversation, he goes, you know, I can just come out here and tell you the vote. Like I can just tell you how to vote. And I was like, Corey, baby, Corey, like we both know that's not gonna happen. So it was like, yeah, he was being great, but the motherfucker was still playing the game. But like you don't see it on camera, but everybody was comforting me. Like everybody was comforting me. When I did my confessional, I think almost all of the production team was in the room to make sure I was okay, which
Oh.
was hilarious to me. But yeah, I had my emotional moment, but it's okay. It's okay.
Now, was that the iconic confessional where we got your B pose?
The one and only.
The biggest game move for you for this round was working on what the B pose would be.
Yep.
Yeah. I do think the annoying question is a rough question, because I don't think anyone really wants to call anyone annoying. And it doesn't matter what the reasoning is. When someone has to give an answer, it's still going to hurt and feel personal. And I totally get your viewpoint on it too. So I empathize a lot with that. I think that people will sometimes just substitute annoying with loud. And so like, if you're just being loud, they're like, well, I think that's probably the answer people are going to go with, even if it's not necessarily the case. But I know you're so far removed from it now that we're probably just talking through things you've already talked through and everything at this point. But nonetheless, I
Yeah,
feel like
pretty much,
this is
but
the
it's
first time you've
okay.
gotten to speak on it. So
Yeah, this is me speaking out. Y'all suck. I'm just kidding.
yeah. Well, obviously you got the last laugh as we get further into this season, but for this round in particular, oh, is Siggy?
Yeah, it's a rare Miss Sig sighting.
Wow. So we got two of the three cats have now made a cameo.
Yes.
All right, we'll try and be 3 for 3 by the end of this.
Yeah.
All right, so this round in particular, you kind of miss out on most of the actual game conversations then. So going into tribal, do you have any idea of what people are planning? Or because I think you end up just voting Dakota, which has been kind of at that point tried and true. Did you have any idea at all of what was being discussed?
No, I had no idea what was being discussed. I didn't have like any conversations. I need to talk about this.
Oh,
I
sure.
find it hilarious that my like one cameo in that episode, I think I have like two, and my one is when I was by Nolan and Dakota and they start like talking out their beef. And you need to understand that Nolan pulled me aside to talk to me, okay? So Nolan and I were talking, and then Dakota came in and starts talking to Nolan. So they realized, like, oh, we should probably record this. So, like, there I am so awkwardly stood as they're hashing out their beef. And I was like, fuck, how do I get out of this conversation? And that's when you see me just look at the camera and leave because I was like, I'm just trying to talk to Nolan. I don't know what's happening. Like, I'm sorry.
How do you leave? You just leave. Give the camera the stare, and yeah, I think you
I
handled
like
it
Irish
perfectly. And
goodbye it.
I want to share some of the comments we've got here. Trinity is just saying she loves you so much, and that I know that she even calls herself annoying whenever she does even nothing. And I'm always like, what? So we can also be our harshest
Trinity,
critics sometimes.
oh my gosh, Trinity, you're amazing. Never call yourself annoying. Never.
And Cody also says, never stop being a social butterfly. You seem like such a fun person to be around.
Aw, thank you, Cody. I love seeing you in the live chat. It's so much fun.
Oh, and Shane says, as a viewer, he felt like the answer for being the most annoying was with Nolan and Ben still in the game. How was it not one of them?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, to be real though, I was also the only person. Oh my God, wait. I was also like the only person that was being super how would I say, like bubbly and bright. So it kind of made sense to me because everybody else was kind of like low key and they were getting into the game very deep, and meanwhile I was out here like, woohoo guys, we're having a fun survivor, yay, when everybody else was on the page of like, this is serious, we're playing a game, Amelia. So I can kind of understand because Nolan and Ben were being very serious as well. So I was the odd one out that day.
Too fun for him to handle.
Too
Uh,
much.
I just want to round out the comments. I shared one from Richie earlier where he said he went through the same shit in his first season. Don't let it get to you. We all love you. But I wanted you to also answer his question. What is a B pose?
It's a bitch pose, girl. It's your B pose. Like, like the legendary Ben over, was it Corey? Where he literally is like standing over. I don't even think this shit was like on film. I don't even remember. Wait. Okay. He literally had his whole leg up and he was just right over Corey, leaned into him. That's a B pose, okay? His legs stretched out and everything. That's a fucking B pose.
All right. Hope that answered your question, Richie. Okay, let's round out this episode because so there's a live tribal here. There was really a lot of discussion that you again weren't even part of between Jimmy and Joe. And so as people are getting up and talking, what's you even still thinking about the game, or you're just like, I'm gonna let it be what it is at this point?
I was definitely like, I'm just gonna let it be what it is. But I felt bad because everybody had come up to me and had said like the whole, you're not gonna be the name, you're not getting out, this isn't gonna be you. And then it made me kind of realize like, well then who is it gonna be? So I knew that like in the crossfire of them all trying to protect me, somebody else was gonna get hurt instead. Which I didn't know it was gonna be Joe. And my heart really hurt for Joe. Like when I like watched it happen. Because he kept leaning over and talking to me and trying to loop me into a plan, but it was like, dude, like I don't know what's going on. Like I couldn't really help at that point, because we were there at tribal. Like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the actual plan. So I think that he had whispered to me that he was trying to get them on board for Emily, and I like was so out of the loop that I couldn't really do anything to help him with it. So here he is, leaning over like, "Hey, it's gonna like let's do Emily," like trying to fill me in. And here I am, on that corner of the couch, just like, "Girl, I can't help. Like I don't know, I can't help. Like I'm so sorry."
Yeah. Unfortunately, at that point, you're just one vote and you don't know where all the other ones are going. I think just given the circumstance, unless you were able to just get up and just insert yourself into the other conversations happening, I think it's probably voting Dakota is your safest route so that you don't. It's like, well, that's consistent with how you have been. And I don't think you're making any new enemies by doing that. Whereas, like, if you say you vote Emily with Joe and there's no numbers there, maybe then all of a sudden Emily's like, what was that about? Let's get Amelia out the next round. And so
Yeah.
I can see where it's a risk, but you effectively end up winning immunity that round though. So good for you.
In like the worst roundabout way, yes.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to episode 7 rather. And this was another double boot episode. So this time I do actually know what both of the challenges are. So we're not going to run into that issue. All right, so the first challenge we have here is the one that was taken from the Squid Game, the gift box challenge, where it has to be placed in front of someone while the music's playing. You have to guess right. So have you ever watched Squid Game, the challenge, or was this a brand new challenge for you?
This was completely brand new to me.
So as you weren't selected until pretty late in that round, I think it was once there was 4 people left was finally when you got selected. So watching people go through it, were you thinking of like, what's the best way I can play this? Or were you just kind of like, I'll just wing it if I get tapped?
That I was thinking of the best way to play it because there's really 2 ways that you can go about it, which is either you put in front of somebody who would probably guess you, but it would be too easy to guess, so they would guess somebody else, or you put it in front of somebody who would like definitely not guess you because like they trust you too much, like one of those kinds of things. So it was kind of funny, like watching who people picked, because it seemed more that they were picking like their enemies and not their friends. So when it finally did get to me, and I literally I stood there for so long, and I was waiting for Devin to come up and like push me, kind of thing, like come on, bro, like let's go. Because I couldn't decide, because I could put it in Jimmy, but I trust that Jimmy as a pastor could tell if I was lying, so I was like, fuck, like he can definitely see if I'm lying. And then Dakota, I was like, this is too obvious if I put it on Dakota. And then I was like, Nolan? I was like, Nolan trusts me. Okay, let's go for it. So I put it on Nolan's instead.
And it seemed like because he asked you all, Nolan did ask a bunch of questions to try and figure it out. And actually, none of you ended up outing yourselves because he was hoping one of you would say you put it in front of Emma because that's who he put it in front of. And then he would know you're lying. But didn't work out for him. So he ends up guessing you. It didn't seem like he was actually 100% sure, but he guessed you and he was right. So then you were out. And then you go over to discuss as the final round plays out about like everything that just happened. Were there any kind of discussions happening about like who you would vote for as the rest of the challenge was going on?
No, it was mostly me just gabbing because I was kind of frazzled. Because Nolan, he was like, why would you put this in front of me? Because you know that if I don't get immunity, I'm going home. And I was like, huh? Like I didn't read that far into it. Like I didn't care.
And also, he doesn't know
So
that for a fact.
yeah, exactly. So I think he took it more as like a, oh, this might be a personal attack. Brother, I'm just
Mhm.
playing a game. Like I'm not thinking that hard into it. So he like kind of confronted me a little bit, and I was like, oh my god, oh no. So I totally went back to that room, and I was like, guys, I fucked up and I didn't know. I'm so sorry. They didn't care. They definitely didn't
Yeah.
care, but I was frazzled.
I could see it, yeah. Especially if he's being aggressive about it, like I can't believe you would do that to me, and it's like, oh, I wasn't even looking at it that way. Yikes! Now I have to damage control something I didn't think I had to damage control. So, don't blame me for
Mhm.
feeling frazzled, especially after how the last round just went for you. To have that energy come at you, probably not ideal. But I guess one thing I did actually forget to backtrack a little bit at the tribal from the last round, because that's big going into this round, was when Jimmy and Nolan kind of bluffed Dakota into playing her idol. So I guess to backtrack a little bit, when you see both those idols get played, they don't need to. Are you like, cool, two idols just got played? Like, did you know at that point that Dakota also had one, or?
I I did know that Dakota had an idol. But I think that this is that wait. I feel like we're missing a piece here because I knew that Dakota had an idol like going into it, but I don't how did I know that? Was it from Richie's round? I don't know how I knew that, but I knew that Dakota had the idol going into it. Yes. Um but I I didn't know that they were gonna try and like pull a big show on her, you know. I didn't know about that. So that kind of was like a, oh shit, you know, like this is going down, like this is kind of crazy. But the biggest piece of info from it was after Dakota played her idol and like the cameras are cut and everything, she turned to Emily sitting next to her and immediately was like who did you tell? And they had like a little argument, and I remember specifically Emily being like they must have guessed, or you know, like anybody could have known, or you know, like she tried to work her way out of it, and Dakota had started crying and she was like very upset about it. So for me going out of that, I watched that whole fight go down, and then it wasn't like a whole like, I'm not gonna say a fight, it was like, you know, a little tussle. And I turned over to, I think it was like Kira, Jimmy, Emma, and Ben, like that group. And I was like, did you guys see that? And none of them saw it. And I was like, guys, like, you didn't see that fight just happen? So that was when I realized that Emily for sure was Dakota's number one. And if I did a little working there, I could get them mad at each other, you know?
Yeah, and because that had to be a lot to go. So Richie's own vote off, even though it was unanimous, was clearly emotional the way he left. Then we go into how emotional touchy subject was, and then the tribal council for that goes into this whole idol bluff where Dakota's now leaving emotional yet again. So like the second you guys had merged, all of a sudden tears are flowing. It got real fast, and then it gets so close from that moment for Dakota leading up to this. She's in the final three of that challenge. If she can just get past that last round, she's actually ends up being immune. But unfortunately, she doesn't for her sake. And instead, Jimmy and Nolan get immunity. And what was the discussion like after that then? So because of how everything went down for Dakota, she seemed a little bit resigned about the game at that point. Was she trying to pitch anything else, or was she more so pitching, it's okay if you guys vote me out, and that just became a general consensus, or what was the vibe?
At the beginning, there was definitely a push for it not to be Dakota. You know, and I was the one that was like pushing, especially after, you know, Dakota and I, we like squashed our beef and whatever, you know. Like I definitely tried to put it aside so that we could move forward. And then after, you know, it became, you know, there was an actual reason of like she was getting emotional, and then, you know, she had started to tell people like it's okay, just, you know, I just want to go. that's when it kind of flipped. Like in the beginning of it, she was trying to tough it out, and then I think she realized she just didn't want to tough it out anymore, and she was just over it. So I think all of us, it's kind of funny to me because I was over here, crying the round before, and then Dakota cries and says she wants to go home, and they send Dakota home, but they didn't want to send me home. I was like, guys, like, what? Like that double standards. Come on, I'm just I'm just kidding. She asked for it, I didn't, but
They're
still.
like, whoa,
Um
that was final 10. This is final 9. It's different.
yeah, no, literally.
We're in the single
So,
digits
yeah.
now. There's no more
Yeah.
freebies.
Yeah, I think that we all felt bad for Dakota because, like it was such a weird vibe around the house because it was like we'd go from being so game mode with each other to like there'd be times where it was just like we would turn it off and it'd be "Fuck, like I don't want to do this, dude. Like this fucking sucks." And then we'd have to, go back to game mode. And I think that Dakota's vote off was definitely a big one where we were flipping back and forth of like, oh my God, she's so sweet and we love her, but also she doesn't want to be here anymore. So
Yeah, and I feel like that argument had to have been the one to win out because alternatively, was there ever any kind of thought going around of, hey, I know that Dakota's distressed and doesn't want to be here, but could we then vote out someone that is a bigger threat then and keep someone in that doesn't want to be here just to kind of make things easier for us? Or so was that ever an actual thought that could have been discussed, or was it more so let's be human about this? She doesn't want to play, we'll vote her out.
I think that was the round where they started to throw out Jimmy's name. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe
Well,
that was the round where they started to throw around Jimmy's name a little bit
he was
more.
immune that round, but they might have
Yeah.
talked about it, but he was immune, so they couldn't
Okay,
have.
okay. Yeah, okay, that was next round when they tried to get him out and then they ended up with Nolan instead. But
Mhm.
no, cuz I think that it was because that both Nolan and Jimmy, like the two like bigger threats, were both immune, and Corey and Emily at that time were still like flying under the radar a bit with us. Cuz I think that it was still in that point of where they wanted to like mix up the tribes, get alliances going, and they were trying to play with each other. So, it was an awkward round of we can go for a big fish or we can stay where it's safe so that we can build trust with each other for the next vote.
Yeah. So then ultimately, do you feel like the correct decision to vote out Dakota at that point? Or if you were to do it again, would you have tried to keep her in longer?
If I were to do it all over again, I would have pulled Dakota in and actually worked with her from the start. 110%. I think that I just read the situations wrong. And yeah, I honestly I feel kind of bad for how I handled it because she really is a very sweet girl. And I think she had some very good ideas, but she might have been a little too shy to bring them forward. So, I think if she had
Yeah.
somebody who was just supporting her better, then she probably could have gotten somewhere good.
And hindsight's 2020. If we knew everything that was going to happen, we'd all make different decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We can move on then to the second half of episode 7. When we get to the final 8, your old friend Flip Cup is back, and you get to participate in the tournament. But first, you had the option to sit out if you wanted to for a chance at an advantage. Obviously, Emily was the only one that opts out of the challenge. So when you hear that, is there a thought of maybe it would be a good idea to go for the advantage, or were you like, no, I'm not going to put a target on my back, I can try and win immunity instead?
Oh, my only thought was, well, fuck, why'd you do that? Because the reason that I was gonna be doing the immunity challenge was I don't remember what episode or what season it was that I watched, but I watched like people sit out and I'm like, okay, but you guys want to get this person out. So why don't you all stay in so you just have a better chance of them going out before you, you know? So for me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna try, even though I suck at immunity challenges. So then we have more people. I got this. Like, I was like, I'm gonna be a trooper, you guys. And then the person that I was trying to make sure didn't get immunity opted out of the fucking challenge. And I was like, "Are you serious?
Right.
Are you
You're
are
like,
you
well, I could have done
serious?"
that too then.
No, like and I was the last one to put up my hand because I was sitting there and I wish that they would have had like a camera on my hand because I was sitting there going trying to decide what to do. But yeah, so that one did make me mad. I was like, fuck, I could have sat that shit out and then we would have known if she got the advantage or not. But hindsight's
Right.
2020.
Yeah. And her being the only one, she was guaranteed the advantage then. So
Yeah.
yeah, could have been a 50-50. Added to that Amelia Emily rivalry if you guys had to square off for the advantage against each other. So you instead have to face Kira in Flip Cup, and you lose the first round. So, like you said, dang it, should have gone for the advantage. Oh, there's Ashtray.
Yep.
Yeah, so Ben ends up winning the immunity for this round. And it seems like almost right off the bat, after you were just saying in the previous round that Corey and Emily were still like not necessarily the first targets, all of a sudden they're the main targets after the immunity challenge, at least. People are saying we're going to split it between Corey and Emily. It's got to be Corey or Emily. So was that an idea you were behind, or was there a different person that was pushing that primarily?
No, I don't know who came up with the split. I know that I had been pushing Emily's name because that girl's a very strong player. That girl is crazy good at this shit. Like I knew for a fact, just from my experience with her on the villains, that if she made it to final tribal, there was no beating her. So it did make me like switch on my brain of like, holy shit, if she makes it past a certain point, I know that there are enough tricks in her bag that she's gonna make it to final three. And in my mind, there was no questions about it that Emily was gonna win. Like for me, the only person I could see having a straight like victory path was Emily. She was so well connected. So, um, like when she was on the pod, she said having my your name in my mouth is like a compliment. Girl, same to you because you played so good that it made me scared. I was like, we gotta get this girl gone. Holy shit. So I did a lot of yeah, Emily has been running stuff over on the villains tribe, and Kira had asked me like, how do you feel about Emily? And I was like, you gotta get a read on her because I'm not sure. So the people that I talked to, I tried to make sure that there was a bit of distrust between them and Emily. And then I think going into this round, there wasn't as much distrust with them. I think that people were saying that to give like a little bit of a show. Because if you look at the inner workings of it, the only people who were actually against them were me, Jimmy, and Emma. The rest of them still were trying to kind of work with Corey and Emily. And as we've gone over Kira's strategy, she was trying to, play the whole you guys are running it and I'm just sitting back and letting it happen, but she knows what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that Kira chose to take more of the back seat and let it fly so that she could, not put a target on her own back. Um, so to me, it just seemed like yes, these people were against Corey and Emily, but the actual inner workings of it was very different.
Yeah, because Nolan and Ben were still kind of working with them. And so if they are working with Corey and Emily, then it's a 4-4 split. So that makes splitting the vote between them more complicated. But the idea was for Ben and Nolan to also split with you guys. So that was just Corey and Emily kind of on their own, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the initial plan before things got completely out of whack. But before we even get to that point, you happen to see Ben find an idol upstairs. And so he does tell you. Do you think he's only telling you because you just watched him find it?
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Which,
Yeah.
respect.
So when he does share that with you, are you thinking that you're going to use that against him? Or are you like, oh, maybe this is something that I can hold over him and we could work together? What was the thought process when you see him find it?
Honestly, it was good for Ben. He finally found an idol, and then I completely forgot that it happened.
You forgot?
Had an idol. Like I completely forgot. I was like, oh, okay, Ben has an idol. I was like, I don't want to tell anybody. And then we just like moved on with our lives. And then the whole Nolan vote out happens where he flips on Jimmy. And I literally like I wish that I had the clip because it's not on Heroes vs. Villains. But I was like a sleeper agent in this conversation. I swear to God. They were all talking. And all of a sudden, I just looked up and I went, Ben has an idol. And they're like, what? Actually? Probably not. And I was like, no, Ben has an idol, you guys.
When did this happen?
Like after the Nolan vote out.
Oh,
Like,
so it was like after, so he's already been voted out. After Tribal happened, you just said that to everyone?
I was like a sleeper agent. I just like woke up. I was like, wait, you guys, like I know something. I was like, guys, I know something.
I wish that was on camera, just because, like,
Oh,
what
God.
triggered that?
I fucking wish. I fucking wish, dude. But yeah, that was like he found it. I didn't even expect him to show it to me, honestly. Like I really didn't expect him to even like show it, or for me to know what it was. So when he did, I was just kind of like, "Oh, okay. Cool." And then another fun fact, Emily was in the other room when we found it. Like she literally walked up the stairs like and I like saw her and like she saw me. Like she was there. Like right there.
And so she just missed it.
So she just missed it.
Wow.
So that's why you see me like hop up and then I immediately turn around and I scamper away and then I pretend to look for more idols because I'm like, fuck, Emily's up here. I'm like, fuck.
Wow. Yeah, that makes sense. And then so when does it, I don't think you were there because later on, I think it's back upstairs again, is where we see that Ben and Nolan have this plan, like, oh, I know, let's flip on Jimmy. So I'm assuming they only are talking about this with Corey and Emily. Like, did they never came to you to say we want to flip on Jimmy this vote?
No.
Okay. So going into Tribal, you're still of the mindset where it was we're splitting the votes. It's going to be 3 on Emily, 3 on Corey. And I believe the plan was that all the women are voting Emily, all the men are voting Corey, which is funny because of how the vote ends up turning out. So, because then at Tribal, we see Corey get up and he steals Emma's vote. So now all of a sudden, everything has changed. So at that point, because you end up voting for Corey, what was the mindset? Were you thinking that, okay, we can't do a split anymore, so I'm going to go on Corey, thinking that we also vote for Corey? Or what was why is that why you split or switched? I mean,
Yeah, so the reason I switched was because in my mind, okay, so if you take away Emma's vote, okay, then that means that there's one less vote for Emily. So wouldn't we all just want to flip onto Corey? Because, like, if you're taking away the one vote for Emily, that means you don't have enough for Emily. Scratch that. Let's all go on Corey. So I just kind of figured that everybody else was also going to have that mindset. But I also didn't expect everybody else to. I think I even said it in my confessional. I was like, this is the plan, but like it's not gonna work. Like that it's because I could see that everybody was so in their own heads, in their own games, that we weren't really getting like plans done,
right. Okay, so that makes sense because from your standpoint, you're like Jimmy, Ben, and Nolan should be voting for Corey. So then, and there would only be the 2 Emily votes, and Emily and Corey have 3 votes. And so you're like, if I switch to Corey, now we have the majority over them if they stay with Corey. But I believe Jimmy had a similar thought, but went the opposite way because he ends up voting for Emily, thinking like similar thought process that you had, but he flips from Corey to Emily. And so that's why it ends up. And then, of course, if Ben and Nolan just stick to any of the original plan, then it's still not an issue, whether they vote Corey or Emily at that point. But instead, obviously, we see Nolan goes. They choose to take out Nolan for whatever reason. That was their prerogative. That's what happened. And Nolan's gone. So you said as soon as that's over, you wake up as sleeper agent, tell everyone Ben has an idol. But outside of revealing that information, what are your thoughts on, okay, that was a crazy thing that just happened. The kind of whole landscape of the game changes. How are you feeling your position at that point?
I honestly, I knew that I was on the outs of everything, but I was okay with that because I knew for a fact that none of them were talking about me anymore. Because you have to think, up until like this point in the game, basically, I have been talked about by like all of them. So it was like, okay, I finally got to this point. Other shit is happening. It doesn't involve me. This is fucking great.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't great to see Nolan go, but it was also like, okay, that's less people that I have to get rid of, you know? Um so for me it definitely was kind of like an eye opener of like, oh, okay. Okay, perfect. It's not just me. Like, perfect. We can do this now, gang.
Yeah, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. They're like, I can get there. I can get to those chairs.
No, literally.
All right, so then you go into now the episode 8, final 7. And the immunity challenge this time was where you guys had to go and count a bunch of different objects. And while that's happening, there was the hidden idol under the table that we know Corey ends up getting. How are you feeling about this challenge? Do you think you ever got close to getting all the numbers correctly?
Oh, I was very close. I'm mad because I was really, really confident that the one that I had wrong was right. So I was going back and forth and changing the numbers on the other two when I really had the other two numbers correct and I had the first number wrong. So I was like, are you serious, bro? Because then they like announced the numbers, and I think it was Christian checking, and I was like, Christian! I was like, Christian, why? I was like, Christian! And he's like, no, it's the pencils, bro. Like, it's the pencils. I was like, God damn it, okay. But yeah, I was mad about that one. I was mad.
Yeah, I think that would drive me crazy too, not knowing which one is incorrect. And then you still feel like you're in a rush. You're like, oh, shoot, everyone's already counted these. Even though they're all having the same issues, you feel like you're on more of a time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't have time to go and count all of those all over again because they're going to get the answer. And the one that ends
Well,
up getting the answer is Ben.
I felt like it was against me and Ben the whole time too, because everybody else was like having like a nice little do count, you know, and just little do on back to the whiteboard. So it was like, but meanwhile, Ben and I, we were like we were running through that bitch, and the rest of them, they did not have the same energy, I swear.
Yeah. Corey's mind was on finding that idol. I think he was more preoccupied with that. He's like, forget this challenge. And I guess everyone else just didn't feel like they were in danger or just weren't in a rush. I don't know. But yeah, Ben gets the immunity, which I'm sure he's feeling relieved after how the last vote just happened. But as we can see, and as you comment on, he's still spiraling a bit after how the last vote didn't go. And so you had a lot to say on that. Can you say from your perspective what Ben's game was looking like after the Nolan vote out and how you were planning on working with him going forward at that point?
Well, after the Nolan vote out, obviously Nolan and Ben, unbreakable bond. So so I knew having Nolan out of the game, he wasn't gonna work with Corey or Emily because, you know, that's who just got his bestie out. And I would be able to, you know, kind of take that place of Nolan missing. So even though I went and I leaked his idol, I I did it in a way that he would need to seek somebody out for help. So I was that person that he kind of, you know, like was seeking out for the help of like, oh my God, like my game's falling apart. I don't know what to do. yeah, like somebody leaked your idol, like that's really bad. Like let me comfort you. Like that's so awful, Ben. I'm so sorry. So I kind of did exacerbate it to the point of where he'd have to lean on me more, which played in my favor. But sorry, Ben, love you.
That's right. He was planning on doing a similar thing with you in his game too. So it works both ways, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, exactly.
and so then this round is still sights kind of set on back on Corey and Emily. I mean, they just did a huge move after they were already being targets. They've made themselves even bigger targets. There is a plan on their side that they're thinking of going for Jimmy. Was that something that they ever approached you about or no?
After the merge, I really didn't talk to either of them that much. I did not feel aligned with them. I knew that I was on the bottom of my tribe on the villains. So it was one of those where it was like, I love you, Corey, but it's not working. Emily, I didn't really talk to that much. I didn't feel like we really vibed that well. So it was just like I'm barely talking to these bitches anyways. So,
And they got to go anyways because they've been playing great games. So you're like, I
they
got,
gotta go.
it's win-win to keep going with that mentality. Okay, because then Jimmy also publicly reveals, even before Tribal, the watchful eye advantage he has. And he really undersells it, saying like it's kind of useless without him having an idol. He's like, I just get to go watch someone vote. So just so you guys know, was there any inclination of who he was telling you guys he was going to use it on before Tribal? Like, was he saying he was going to use it on someone else
Oh,
other than Kira?
he said he was gonna use it on Corey.
Okay.
Yeah, like that was his plan. That's what he told us going into it, was that he was gonna use it on Corey. And then that is the round that he was asking Emma and I if he was like, well, how do you guys feel about Kira? Like, what's going on with Kira? And we were both like, oh no, like it's fine, don't worry about it. But unbeknownst to Jimmy, she already is trying to get a plan going to get Jimmy out as well. So it was a good thing on Jimmy's part for playing it the way that he did. And it was a good thing on his part for not telling us how he was going to play it.
Yeah. So was that a surprise then? Like when he says he's going to use it on Kira, what are you thinking as he's doing that? Where you're like, is he onto something, or you're like, is he just being goofy about this?
I thought he was onto something, honestly, because none of us expected it. And I thought that that was like a really good thing to do because we expected him to use it on Corey. And we all know that Corey is brazen enough to just vote however he wanted,
Sure. Yeah.
anyways. But he was smart enough to know that if he did it on Kira, there was like he could change Kira's vote with that.
Yeah, and that's Emily felt the same way. We heard from her exit interview was as soon as Jimmy did that, she said, okay, I know Kira won't vote Jimmy. So even if Kira had voted Jimmy, Emily was already in that mindset. So yeah, props to Jimmy. Not his deep dive though. So we got your thoughts on it. So you still had your game plan was like Emily or Corey is going here. And obviously by using his advantage, that gets Kira to stick with voting for Emily. And as we go through, so did you vote Corey this round? Because I think the majority was still on Corey, right? Because he ends up playing the idol he got at the immunity challenge.
Yeah, I did end up voting Corey, I believe. Because they again were like, we need to
Oh, yeah, you
split the
did.
votes. And I was like, guys, please.
You know what?
But it's
Yeah,
a good thing we split the votes. So
yep. Because I remember now, because Kira did vote Emily, and then Emma also voted Emily, because that ends up saving Emma, because it goes to the revote between Emma and Emily, because they switched to Emma after the watchful eye advantage happened, and then Emily ends up going. So you got your way. You've been saying how big of a threat Emily's been this whole time. So now that Emily's gone, I feel like you've got to be again feeling great about that result of Tribal. You're like, that's someone I already wasn't talking to. And now just one less person in your way, right?
yeah, exactly. I mean, after Touchy Subjects, it was like watching like all of the dominoes fall down, right? Just one after the other. I was like, oh, there we go. There we go. Another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, it's like, wow, should this be this easy? I guess it is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then we might as well just keep moving on down the line. We're getting to the penultimate episode here. You're now at the final 6. 6 people left in the game. 10 people are already gone. You're not one of them. Your immunity challenge this time starts off with it's essentially like musical chairs, but with flipping the water bottle. Did you ever do this a lot back in your day, just flipping it for fun? So, okay. So feel
Yep.
more confident about this than Flip Cup.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I think the results showed that too, because you lasted for a few rounds there, I think, before ultimately getting eliminated. But we see Corey end up winning immunity for this round. And so how does that, well, no, there's a lot that goes into this vote, isn't there? We already kind of talked a little bit about it, but yeah, this is a crazy vote. So Corey's immune, which means the only options other than yourself would be Ben, who has an idol, Kira, who finds an idol. Does she tell you guys she found an idol or no? Okay.
No.
So you have Ben with an idol, Kira, Jimmy, or Emma. Because obviously you can't and won't vote for yourself. So those are the 4 options that you have. So before you even have discussions, what is your thought on who you would ideally like to target?
Well, okay, so at that point, I started to think more emotional than logical, and I didn't want to vote Kira. I respect Kira so much that it was like very hard for me to think about voting her out, and I don't know why, but for me, when we were at Final 6, it hadn't really set in for me how far into the game we were, if that makes sense. So like.
Mm-hmm.
I was like looking at my options and I was still thinking like I had more time to vote these people out, Like one thing that rings true for me is that I have been told so many times before is you can't always go with the easy target. And I didn't really understand that until I went through this game and got through this final 6 because I like went through the list and the one person like I wasn't as attached to was Emma. But even there, it was like this girl has been so nice to me since I played in season 5. Like this is like so mean. Like I felt so bad about it because she had been nothing but nice and welcoming. So for me, it definitely was like this is the easiest route on my brain right now, and this is what I have to go with, when it definitely wasn't the most logical answer.
Yeah, so then Emma is the one that's easiest to write down, but then Kira has a conversation with you and Emma about possibly, hey, all women final 3. We can do it right here. Kira says, I got the steal a vote. And she even kind of tells her plan to you guys about to try and bluff Jimmy, because Jimmy's bluffing an idol. Ben's bluffing an idol. Everyone's bluffing something. And so Kira's saying, I will steal Corey's vote because he's saying he's voting Jimmy to make Jimmy feel safe. But then I still use Corey's vote to vote Jimmy, and we vote Jimmy out. So when that's being relayed to you, is that ever even an actual option? Because you've already said like you were weighing emotions versus logical. Did you consider it, or were you still locked in like I can't do that? Because we see you say you can't do it for Ben, and even say to Kira, hey, you could steal my vote and then I don't have to worry about it.
I was absolutely contemplating it. Like that whole entire round was just me going like, oh my god, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? But so like it was really really hard to come to the decision. It was like okay, it's just the biggest part was me realizing that if Kira pulled it off, she would win. Like that was the biggest part for me, and unfortunately Emma is the one who gave me that revelation. So I think that if Emma didn't give me her speech, I would have voted for Jimmy.
Wow. Oh, so Emma actually convinced you to vote for Emma instead of Jimmy, because didn't Jimmy also have a conversation with you as well? Was that this round and off camera? or
I don't
just in
know.
general talking with Jimmy?
I think just in Jimmy told me that he was bluffing his idol. Like he had told me that he was bluffing it. He had done like his whole entire like jump up and whatever. And everybody like had dispersed and he turned around and he looked at me, he goes, I don't even have an idol. I'm just bluffing. And it was so funny because for like that round and the round before, it felt like Jimmy and I were just like in that shit together. Like even before that, like he would come up to me and we just kind of smirk at each other and we were just on the same page about it. So voting out one of the only people who had actually been on the same page with me in the whole fucking game, it was too much for me.
Yeah, I could see where he was able to be empathetic because Jimmy was kind of playing from his own island, just like you were playing on your own island, where you had the loose connections elsewhere, but not necessarily like a ride or die situation with anyone else. So
Exactly.
yeah, so Emma ends up voting for you that round anyways. So were you aware that that was part of the plan, was to also have a split where you would have gotten caught in the crossfires? Fire. I almost didn't say that right. But anyways, yeah.
No, I think that she explained that her plan was to put me out, like to vote me just to get like my name going kind of thing. Like I don't think it was as a if everybody plays idols or like it doesn't work out then like I get out. It was more of a if her name's out there we can keep talking about it. Which respect, I understand that. But technically I think at that point that was the first time my name had been written at tribal council. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. I mean, if Richie's still there, he would probably know better because he keeps track of all the votes. But I can't remember another instance where your name was, everyone was saying your name, but I can't remember anyone else actually writing it out. So
Yeah.
we'll have someone fact check for us, but I'm going to go with that for now. So yeah, Emma, we see Kira bluff Ben into playing his idol as well. And then that didn't matter. There weren't votes on either of them, but Jimmy convinces Ben to vote for Emma as well. And Emma's gone. And so now with Emma gone, like you said, you went with heart over head. How are you feeling about your chances at this point? I mean, I'm sure you still probably feel good about maybe getting to the end, but what are you thinking about actually pitching yourself to the jury?
Well, okay, so my thing is that I having watched and analyzed all these different, Survivor seasons, different episodes, different characters, and especially on Survivor Wisconsin as well. There's different types of people who make it to final tribal. Everybody knows this. I I just wanted to make it to final tribal to be able to get the experience of one being past merge, and two knowing how I can pitch myself. So in my head, I knew that I wasn't gonna win with the people that were around. I knew that. I understood that. I wasn't doubting that. But that didn't change the fact that I knew I was making it to final tribal. I had no doubt in my mind, like, yes, I'm making it there. Um, I just, I didn't, I cared about winning. Yes, I cared about winning. But for me, it was more like, hey, I make it to final tribal and I get this experience. I know better for next time because there'll be a next time. Um, so yeah, I was prepared to be there. I knew I was going to make it there. I knew I was not going to win, and I knew I was okay with that. So, you know.
But at least fight as much as you can for it at that point. I know, I think that's also important to anyone that wants to play LRGs is there's only one person that's going to win. That doesn't mean you go in and play to lose, but what I've liked to do is set mini goals along the way. Like everyone's like, oh, I want to make merge. And then, oh, I want to win an individual immunity challenge. I want to find an advantage. Like, okay, things are going well. I want to make it to final tribal. And yeah, you need like a lot of other things to go correctly to actually be able to win the game. And that should still be the ultimate goal. But hey, find other wins along the way. And I think you found a lot of wins along the way in this season, and it was fun to see too.
100%.
All right, so then let's talk about the last few rounds here in the finale episode. Okay, first immunity challenge starts with the word scramble. Now, we have the asterisk for the word scramble because it's created by AI, maybe not checked ahead of time. Devin admitted and owned up to it, which good on him. That there was unfortunately a couple of extra letters in the words. Do you think, was that why you struggled with the word scramble, or are you just not good at word scrambles in general?
That's literally the reason why. The ones that I didn't have were the ones that were typos. So, and then I said, I was like, Devin, and then he's like, it wouldn't have mattered. Kira crushed that puzzle. I don't care. I don't care. Give me a better
Maybe you would have
chance.
gotten
Goddamn.
faster. Maybe you would have gotten it faster to get to the puzzles, but
Exactly.
yeah,
But yeah,
I mean,
whatever.
at least you do make it through the vote. So you could have had a shot at immunity, which would have been fun. Would have been another thing you could cross off your checklist, but alas, didn't work out that way. Kira does get it, and she killed it. She deserved to win that challenge as well. And at that point, final 5, Corey, finally vulnerable. Seems like the easy vote. Spends most of his time trying to talk to you guys. I don't know about his pitches being the best, but he's mostly trying to pitch you, I think, which was an odd choice. I don't know that. Were you? How
I don't
involved were you?
understand it.
Yeah,
I don't
I don't.
understand it. Because he came to me and he's like, Amelia, we could work together. We could work together. You're playing a really good game. And I'm like, Corey, shut the fuck up. Like, he's like, we haven't been on the same page for a while. Yes. Who did that? You? Yeah. like it was like he was literally like looking up at me from his grave and going, give me the shovel, like come on, bro, like you can't do this. So yeah, he was pleading his case to me, and then I thought it was hilarious that he not only tried to convince them to vote for me, but then at tribal council, he literally was like, you guys vote for Amelia. And then he like made a case at tribal of why they should vote for me. And everybody on the couch is just like, sit down, bro. Sit down. Like nobody was taking his shit. Like they were so done with it. They were over the monologue shit.
Yeah, right. Quoting Emma, as you should. But I just thought that picking you was such an interesting choice rather than trying to pick at like vote out Jimmy instead, or even like Ben. I know that like Jimmy has obviously had a stronger case than Ben at the end, but like you could still say, hey, Ben's got Nolan, who's always going to vote for him. Like I just felt weird that he was choosing you. I don't know if it was because he saw, Ben, Kira, and Jimmy from the Heroes tribe that had been working together-ish since the beginning. So maybe he thought you were the easiest one for them to vote out. But regardless, I think you probably should have just spent more time looking for that idol.
Yeah.
Was there any thought for anyone to look for the idol, or were you all just on the same page of, hey, let's just keep talking to Corey to make sure he doesn't get it?
Oh, so at the beginning of the round, we all were like gathered and we were like, okay, Corey, like we're going Corey. And then Kira was like, guys, we need to go follow him. Like we need to go follow him, make sure he doesn't get an idol. Like Kira was so on top of it and we all were like, oh shit, we probably should. So like I think that Kira and Jimmy literally like trailed Corey like the whole episode to make sure that he didn't find an idol.
Yeah, and then he got caught up in it. He's like, oh, well, they're following me. Let me talk to them. And then he wasn't even looking. So it was overall easy final 5 vote. Corey played a hell of a game, was immune way more rounds than he should have been, made it further than he probably should have been. Probably could have made it even further if he didn't vote out Nolan when he did, but hey, it was still a fun time. And we're on to the final 4. And you kill it in this challenge, but just not quite. This is the balancing the balls on the frisbee on your head. and you are in it for a long time. Kira and Ben drop kind of early, and then it's down to you and Jimmy, and Kira and Ben are pleading for you to win it. And just, I think eventually it just starts to tilt a little bit and it falls. Jimmy wins immunity. That close to winning that final immunity, and that would have been an awesome thing to pitch for yourself at the final tribal too. But what were the feelings after that challenge?
I was mad because it wasn't even that I fell off my head. It was that I opened my eyeballs. So if I didn't open my eyes, I could have done it a little longer.
I actually forgot that part. You're
Yeah,
right,
so
because the eyes closed was part of it, and that, oh man. Well, I wonder how long you guys would have
yeah,
gone for.
I had felt, dude, if I didn't open my eyes, it would have been a long time because I have really good balance. And I got some real strong glutes, so I can stand for a real long time. Like I can do that shit. So that one did piss me off because I was like, I looked at the challenge when we first got there. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna be able to do this. And then I'm standing there and I'm like, wait, I'm just standing with the ping pong balls on my head. I was like, fuck, I can do this all day. I was like, come on, guys, I can do it. So I was mad because my legs only hurt like a little bit, and I thought I was doing so well.
Oh, dang. An alternate reality, maybe. But or next time they redo the final challenge and you get there. Like that's the mentality. So
Mhm.
Jimmy wins immunity. And at that point, I mean, Kira is clearly a pretty big threat that everyone's acknowledged. Was there ever any second guesses at that point to take Kira, or was it just we're gonna vote her out?
Well, I felt looking at the crowd that um it was really hard because I it was almost like deciding who to win, but unfortunately you couldn't not pick Jimmy. So, like, to me, it was either that Jimmy or Kira were gonna win. So I couldn't get rid of Jimmy, so it had to be Kira. So that was really hard. That was a really hard. And I felt bad because we were sitting on that couch and they were crying and I had used up all my tears. So there's the three of them huddled together crying on one end of the couch and I'm just sitting there like, sorry,
And
voting
so
you
so
out.
Ben wasn't a consideration at all either, because I know you
Oh,
said you couldn't
I
vote
was
for him
gonna
earlier.
vote
But
out Ben.
you said you weren't going to.
I
Or,
was.
and so
Jimmy, I had gone to Jimmy and I was like, "Are we voting out Ben?" And he said yes at first, and I was like, "Okay." He
well,
said
I'm
like, "Are
sure
you good
Kira would
with
have gotten
that?"
behind that.
Yeah,
Did you ask Kira about that?
I I think that I had just told Jimmy like whatever you want to do, I'll go with.
Okay.
And then I think that Kira misstepped because she pitched my name instead. Um, so I think that Kira and I just didn't get on the same page there because then she started to pitch my name instead to get out of it. And what she needed to do was pitch Ben's name.
Okay, because Ben, Kira, and Jimmy did have a discussion on the side about, hey, we could just have the three of us there before Final Four immunity happened. They had talked about that. And so I'm assuming, so Kira's thought process was to stick with that. And that's why she threw out your name first. And then at that point, you're like, well, if I'm the other option, guess it's going to be Kira.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So then we see Kira go, and you made it. Final tribal. So now you've already said that you feel like, okay, I don't think I have a shot of winning this, but are you thinking of like points that you want to bring up and like starting to like kind of practice some of that in your head as the jury gets ready?
Yeah, I as the jury was doing their roundtable and everything, I went outside and I had a smoke and I literally just like sat there like just trying to think everything through. But I was so mad because I didn't have a notepad and a pencil to write things down because I have really good like long-term memory, but short-term memory I'm not as good on. So trying to remember all the things that I had actually done was extremely difficult. Because, I mean, if you look at it from beginning to end, I was doing a lot in the beginning. I was doing a lot to make sure that I wasn't the one going home. And then even after merge, I was still doing a lot. So when I finally got to it where it was like, okay, it's over, but you still have to do more. You know, it was so hard to try and process a little bit of what happened while also having to talk through it all. So it was really hard sitting there and trying to organize everything when I couldn't even remember half the shit that happened.
Yeah, and then think of how long, because I know we got an edited version of Tribal Council, and that was still very long. How long do you think that was in real time for from beginning to end, Final Tribal?
I believe it was over an hour and a half. I believe it was over an hour and a half. It might have been up to the 2 hour mark. I'd have to have somebody like fact check me on that one. But I know for a fact that afterwards, I looked at Christian and I was like, "Can I go smoke a cigarette?" And he's like, "Girl, you just got grilled for over an hour. You go ahead." So
You earned that, yeah. So okay, so then going back to where you were trying to organize thoughts, are there main parts that you wanted to talk about that you think you didn't actually get the chance to talk about during Final Tribal? It looks like yes. So then, are there any you want to talk about now?
I I think that I didn't hit on the fact that I was the last villain left. I think that I really should have leaned into, hey, I'm the last villain here. Like, isn't there a reason for it? And this is gonna sound bad, but I wish I would have lied. Like, I think I'm too honest. And I think I'm a little too hard on myself. So whenever I didn't want to claim this as my own, or I didn't want to, sound egotistical, but when you're pitching yourself to a jury, you have to do that. So, going into it, I was just very truthful, and I don't think I should have been so truthful.
Yeah, I think that is the hard balance, and because I have a hard time with that just in real life too. Of like, I'm like, hey, I'm sticking to the facts here, but I think you still stick to the facts, but then you just like kind of gotta embellish a little bit more, and just have the confidence so that people don't question it, and they're like, you know what, that did actually happen, and I guess she did do that, she drove that, and so, but that's easier said than done, especially when you're going on a day and a half straight of playing this very exhausting, mentally exhausting game, and then 2 hours of talking at Final Tribal to people that are mad that they aren't sitting there, and they've got their own thoughts on you and they're grilling into you. Was there any, who in particular out of all the jurors do you think gave you the hardest time, or were there multiple?
I think, okay, well, it's like a combination. So I got like the pointed question, like, or like the pointed like comment of like, I don't think you deserve to be here, like from multiple people. But I think the one who was not taking any bullshit was Corey. Um, because he kept saying like, you guys didn't do any big moves, like there was no flashy moves, like you guys didn't do anything. And on my rebuttal, I kept saying, well, Corey, I don't play like you. Like that's not how I play. I'm not gonna win like you. That's not how it works for me. And he rebutted against it of like, yeah, well, you could have done something, like he was very insistent on you guys could have done more. And he wasn't taking the no, I didn't want to for an answer. Emma was a hard juror, which was like surprising to me. I thought that she would be like a little bit more forgiving. I don't exactly remember her questions, but I remember when she had asked and she was looking for answers, I was like shit, girl, like I didn't expect that out of you. um so yeah, it was just like it was intense between the last like 3 or 4 people.
So your expectations going into Final Tribal, because you want to be there so badly, and then you get there and then you're getting grilled like this, were you kind of, was that exceeding your expectations in like a bad way of like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be this rough, or was that kind of what your expectation was going to be for it?
I definitely didn't expect people to be as passionate as they were. Um, I I I forget that other people have different perspectives sometimes. I'm so able to go, ah ha ha, we played a game, happy go lucky, like let's move on. That I guess I expect other people to share the same, ways, and obviously people don't. We're not all the same. So seeing people be so upset over a game, I forget how competitive it can be. So yeah, it definitely did strike me like, whoa, what the fuck is going on here? Like I didn't expect this. Um, but I understand it. Everybody has their own opinions, and I can understand being mad when you think that you did play better.
Yeah, but I mean, how much better? That if they played such a better game, why aren't they sitting there, right? I mean,
Exactly.
yeah. So then, as soon as Foul Tribal's over, you get 0 votes, but Ben got a vote, but it was from Nolan. So does that count? Or I feel like because of how many votes Jimmy got, getting 0 votes in this case probably doesn't hurt as much because you're like, oh well, yeah, he was like a landslide winner. But is there anyone that you thought maybe you could have gotten their vote that didn't go your way?
No. I didn't realize how bad it would be until I was pitching my case at Tribal. And there was one point somebody asked me a question, and I like looked through all of the faces, and I like slowly realized like, oh, I have no chance of winning right now. Like I just kind of looked at everybody and I was like, oh fuck, like this is a bad jury for me. And I didn't realize how bad of a jury it would be for me until I was staring at it.
Yeah. So if Kayla was there to ask her question, close your eyes and raise your hand. Whose vote do you have? Do you not raise your hand for any of those people?
Oh my god. I think that if Kayla was there, she would have been able to pitch to the round table a bit. Because, I mean, Kira and Richie have told me already. They're like, we pitched you, we tried to explain your game, like, we tried to help, and, like, thank you, like, that's so nice of you, but obviously it didn't fucking work. And obviously, if you thought it was such a good game, you
I
would have
heard.
voted for me. So, thank you. So yeah, it's not resentment. I understand why you voted the way you did, but also like you could have thrown me like a stray bone or something, you
Yeah, can't you
know?
just all like get together and be like, okay, we'll put 1 vote on Amelia here. Let's split the vote.
Yeah, just like throw me a little bone. I'm just a little dog. Come on.
Yeah. All right, so then the game's over. Jimmy wins, and how are the feelings afterwards? Was there still enough energy to go and party a little bit more for the rest of the night, or were you ready to just crash out, go to bed?
Well, okay, so for anybody who's watching, if you ever play a game in the future and you have a little party with the final three, y'all should let the final three have like an hour mandatory to sit by themselves because you everybody else has already been out of the game for hours. We got out of the game and everybody was like, party, and then they were all just like talking game 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 game, and I was so wiped out. And um I was also I was very emotional because I was like, "Oh my god, I get to go see Kayla." Right? Okay? So I've spent all this time. I made it to final 3. I haven't seen Kayla. Haven't seen her since her vote out. Oh my god. Well, then I go and I run to my baby girl and she was not feeling it. It
Oh,
caused trouble in paradise. So, on top of me just doing this whole final 3, everybody's partying. Kayla doesn't really want to talk to me. It was like, oh my god. So I made it to final 3 just to lose one of my besties. I was like, that wasn't worth it. So I didn't give a fuck that I didn't win. Oh well, good fucking job, Jimmy. I made it to final 3. Good job, Jimmy. but then the fact that I had to like sacrifice a part of my friendship to get there, that hurt me so badly. So that I was sad about. I still did Jello shots with everybody. I still did a lot of Jello shots, but
Yeah. Well, and just to be clear though, since then, you and Kayla are okay now, right? I mean, you share a
oh
birthday
yeah.
and you had a birthday party hosted together, right? So
Mhm. Don't worry, everybody.
time heals
Kayla and
all
I are
wounds.
still besties forever. Don't worry, everybody. I know you're scared. No, Kayla and I, we had a beautiful birthday. We share the same birthday because we're just like soul sisters or whatever. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So just to clear that up, there's no post game drama here. No, we're a wholesome show, wholesome family show about lying and backstabbing our friends. Okay. Thoughts as a whole on where you're at now, post Heroes vs. Villains, on the season, on your game, and what you want to do LRG wise going forwards.
um, whew. Well, let me tell you, I can't wait to play more LRGs. Every single time I play one, I just learn a million times more. Um, I have some very big plans for my future. And I really cannot wait to get into another game so that I can just showcase all that I've learned, honestly.
I love that. And you will also be part of the production team on season 11. So, anyone playing season 11, you'll see Amelia there. She'll be helping. And I mean, you'll probably end up making appearances on camera too. So, people will have that to look forward to. And I also just wanted to ask then, because obviously we're going to go into a season of all newbies, but we're going to have more seasons past this next one. There's going to be a couple newbie seasons, and then we're going to have more newbie seasons after that. I want to know what your testimonial should, if someone's on the edge of their seat, like, I don't know, should I apply for Survivor Wisconsin? I don't think I actually have the strategic chops. I don't know. People are going to judge me for being on here. What would you say to that person? What would you say to encourage them to apply and your experience and what it's been?
Um, if you are the kind of person that overthinks, enjoys puzzles, enjoys being put in stressful situations, if you're that kind of person that seeks a little bit of adrenaline, then these games are for you. You are not going to find a better way to stretch your brain out than playing one of these survivor games. Like, if you want to go and play a game and go back at home at night and feel fulfilled, this is what you need to do, because this is one of the most fulfilling things that I've personally ever been able to do. I feel like it's kind of a privilege that I've been able to do so much on Survivor Wisconsin. Um, Not only is it a beautiful community, but they are such understanding people, and they really just want to see you thrive and see the best for you. These games are really just a way for us to have a hobby. I feel at this point it's kind of an excuse just so that we can actually talk to each other. Because I feel as if we value our friendship more than we value the games. So if you're looking for a fun hobby and some great people, this is the community for you.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And I mean, it's a pleasure being able to meet you through this community. And
It's been a
I mean,
pleasure.
we were able to just talk right now for like 2.5 hours straight about your time on one of your 3 seasons. And so I think that's exactly what the purpose of the deep dive was. I am looking to schedule another one for sometime next week. So stay tuned, Title Identifiers, to see when that gets scheduled. But since this is still Amelia's deep dive, any final thoughts before we end the stream for the day?
Um, Devin, you're amazing. Thank you for putting together such an amazing, amazing channel and space and community. Will, you're not here, but I loved hearing all of your sassy remarks on immunity. I really hope to hear more next season. Trinity, you are the best supporter ever. I love having such a good fan. You're amazing and I love you. And your husband, Dan, is pretty cool too. I guess I can talk to him for a couple of hours. And I loved HVV and I loved meeting everybody.
All right. It was a pleasure having you on, Amelia. I'm sure we'll talk again soon. And
I'm
hope you have
sure.
a good night. We didn't see
Yes.
Zip, the third cat, so tell Zip we all said hi.
I will.
All right.
All
Have a good
right.
night.
Good night.